Good evening, and welcome to Third Church of Christ Scientist of New York City. Let's begin with singing hymn number 12. Arise, ye people, take your stand, cast out your idols from the land. Above all doctrine, form, or creed is found the truth that meets your need. Christ's promise stands. They that believe his works shall do, his power receive. Number 12. I'll read from the Bible and from Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. The subject of this evening's readings is work. The Bible. Ecclesiastes. I said in mine heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. Matthew. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, Behold, a man gluttonous and a winebibber, a friend of publicans and sinners. But wisdom is justified of her children. Then began he to upbraid the cities wherein most of his mighty works were done, because they repented not. Woe unto thee, Chorazin! Woe unto thee, Bethsaida! For if the mighty works which were done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. But I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the day of judgment than for you. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shalt be brought down to hell. For if the mighty works which have been done in thee had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day. But I say unto you, that it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment than for thee. At that time, Jesus answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in thy sight. All things are delivered unto me of my Father, and no man knoweth the Son but the Father, neither knoweth any man the Father, save the Son, and he to whomsoever the Son will reveal him. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. John. And when even was now come, his disciples went down unto the sea, and entered into a ship, and went over the sea toward Capernaum. And it was now dark, and Jesus was not come to them. And the sea arose by reason of a great wind that blew. So when they had rowed about 25 or 30 furlongs, they see Jesus walking on the sea, and drawing nigh unto the ship. And they were afraid. But he saith unto them, It is I, be not afraid. Then they willingly received him into the ship, and immediately the ship was at the land whither they went. When the people therefore saw that Jesus was not there, neither his disciples, they also took shipping and came to Capernaum, seeking for Jesus. And when they had found him on the other side of the sea, they said unto him, Rabbi, when camest thou hither? Jesus answered them and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, ye seek me, not because ye saw the miracles, but because ye did eat of the loaves, and were filled. Labor not for the meat which perisheth, but for that meat which endureth unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto you, for him hath God the Father sealed. Then said they unto him, What shall we do that we might work the works of God? Jesus answered and said unto them, This is the work of God, that ye believe on him whom he hath sent. They said therefore unto him, What sign showest thou then, that we may see and believe thee? What dost thou work? Our fathers did eat manna in the desert, as it is written, He gave them bread from heaven to eat. Then Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, Moses gave you not that bread from heaven, but my Father giveth you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is he which cometh down from heaven, and giveth life unto the world. Then said they unto him, Lord, evermore give us this bread. And Jesus said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. But I said unto you, that ye also have seen me, and believe not. For I came down from heaven, not to do mine own will, but the will of him that sent me. And this is the will of him that sent me, that every one which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life. The Jews then murmured at him, because he said, I am the bread which came down from heaven. And they said, Is not this Jesus, the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he saith, I came down from heaven? Jesus therefore answered and said unto them, Murmur not among yourselves. No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, and they shall be all taught of God. Every man, therefore, that hath heard and hath learned of the Father cometh unto me. It is the Spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit, and they are life. John. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, Neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said unto him, Go, wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by interpretation, sent. He went his way, therefore, and washed, and came seeing. The neighbors, therefore, and they which before had seen him that he was blind, said, Is not this he that sat and begged? Some said, This is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I am he. Therefore said they unto him, How were thine eyes opened? He answered and said, A man that is called Jesus made clay and anointed mine eyes and said unto me, Go to the pool of Siloam and wash. And I went and washed, and I received sight. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And whither I go ye know, and the way ye know. Thomas saith unto him, Lord, we know not whither thou goest, and how can we know the way? Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also, and from henceforth ye know him and have seen him. Philip saith unto him, Lord, show us the Father, and it sufficeth us. Jesus saith unto him, Have I been so long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. And how sayest thou then, Show us the Father? Believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very works' sake. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If ye love me, keep my commandments, and I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another Comforter, that he may abide with you forever, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him. But ye know him, for he dwelleth with you, and shall be in you. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. Yet a little while, and the world seeth me no more, but ye see me. Because I live, ye shall live also. At that day ye shall know that I am in my Father, and ye in me, and I in you. Then Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise. For the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things that himself doeth. And he will show him greater works than these, that ye may marvel. Philippians. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. Romans. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. I'll now read correlative passages from the Christian Science textbook, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, by Mary Baker Eddy. Christian experience teaches faith in the right and disbelief in the wrong. It bids us work the more earnestly in times of persecution, because then our labor is more needed. If our petitions are sincere, we labor for what we ask, and our Father, who seeth in secret, will reward us openly. We should relieve our minds from the depressing thought that we have transgressed a material law and must of necessity pay the penalty. Let us reassure ourselves with the law of love. God never punishes man for doing right, for honest labor, or for deeds of kindness, though they expose him to fatigue, cold, heat, contagion. If man seems to incur the penalty through matter, this is but a belief of mortal mind, not an enactment of wisdom, and man has only to enter his protest against this belief in order to annul it. Through this action of thought and its results upon the body, the student will prove to himself, by small beginnings, the grand verities of Christian Science. I love mankind and shall continue to labor and to endure. The calm, strong currents of true spirituality, the manifestations of which are health, purity, and self-immolation, must deepen human experience until the beliefs of material existence are seen to be a bald imposition, and sin, disease, and death give everlasting place to the scientific demonstration of divine spirit and to God's spiritual perfect man. What we most need is the prayer of fervent desire for growth in grace, expressed in patience, meekness, love, and good deeds. To keep the commandments of our Master and follow his example is our proper debt to him, and the only worthy evidence of our gratitude for all that he has done. Outward worship is not of itself sufficient to express loyal and heartfelt gratitude, since he has said, "If ye love me, keep my commandments." The habitual struggle to be always good is unceasing prayer. Its motives are made manifest in the blessings they bring, blessings which, even if not acknowledged in audible words, attest our worthiness to be partakers of love. Simply asking that we may love God will never make us love him, but the longing to be better and holier, expressed in daily watchfulness and in striving to assimilate more of the divine character, will mold and fashion us anew until we awake in his likeness. We reach the science of Christianity through demonstration of the divine nature. But in this wicked world, goodness will be evil spoken of, and patience must bring experience. Audible prayer can never do the works of spiritual understanding which regenerates, but silent prayer, watchfulness, and devout obedience enable us to follow Jesus' example. If truth is overcoming error in your daily walk and conversation, you can finally say, "I have fought a good fight. I have kept the faith," because you are a better man. This is having our part in the at-one-ment with truth and love. Christians do not continue to labor and pray, expecting because of another's goodness, suffering, and triumph that they shall reach his harmony and reward. If the disciple is advancing spiritually, he is striving to enter in. He constantly turns away from material sense and looks towards the imperishable things of spirit. If honest, he will be in earnest from the start and gain a little each day in the right direction, till at last he finishes his course with joy. The disciples apprehended their master better than did others, but they did not comprehend all that he said and did, or they would not have questioned him so often. Jesus patiently persisted in teaching and demonstrating the truth of being. His students saw this power of truth heal the sick, cast out evil, raise the dead, but the ultimate of this wonderful work was not spiritually discerned even by them until after the crucifixion, when their immaculate teacher stood before them the victor over sickness, sin, disease, death, and the grave. Mortals obtain the harmony of health only as they forsake discord, acknowledge the supremacy of divine mind, and abandon their material beliefs. Eradicate the image of disease from the perturbed thought before it has taken tangible shape in conscious thought, alias the body, and you prevent the development of disease. This task becomes easy if you understand that every disease is an error and has no character nor type except what mortal mind assigns to it. By lifting thought above error or disease and contending persistently for truth, you destroy error. Whoever would demonstrate the healing of Christian Science must abide strictly by its rules, heed every statement, and advance from the rudiments laid down. There is nothing difficult nor toilsome in this task when the way is pointed out. But self-denial, sincerity, Christianity, and persistence alone win the prize, as they usually do in every department of life. The test of all prayer lies in the answer to these questions. Do we love our neighbor better because of this asking? Do we pursue the old selfishness, satisfied with having prayed for something better, though we give no evidence of the sincerity of our request by living consistently with our prayer? If selfishness has given place to kindness, we shall regard our neighbor unselfishly and bless them that curse us. But we shall never meet this great duty simply by asking that it may be done. There is a cross to be taken up before we can enjoy the fruition of our hope and faith. When will Jesus' professed followers learn to emulate him in all his ways and to imitate his mighty works? Those who procured the martyrdom of that righteous man would gladly have turned his sacred career into a mutilated doctrinal platform. May the Christians of today take up the more practical import of that career. It is possible, Yea, it is the duty and privilege of every child, man, and woman to follow in some degree the example of the Master by the demonstration of truth and life, of health and holiness. It is proverbial that Florence Nightingale and other philanthropists engaged in human labors have been able to undergo, without sinking, fatigues and exposures which ordinary people could not endure. The explanation lies in the support which they derived from the divine law rising above the human. The spiritual demand, quelling the material, supplies energy and endurance surpassing all other aids, and forestalls the penalty which our beliefs would attach to our best deeds. Let us remember that the eternal law of right, though it can never annul the law which makes sin its own executioner, exempts man from all penalties but those due for wrongdoing. Constant toil, deprivations, exposures, and all untoward conditions, if without sin, can be experienced without suffering. Whatever it is your duty to do, you can do without harm to yourself. Question: how can I progress most rapidly in the understanding of Christian Science? Answer: study thoroughly the letter and imbibe the spirit. Adhere to the divine principle of Christian Science and follow the behests of God, abiding steadfastly in wisdom, truth, and love. In the science of mind, you will soon ascertain that error cannot destroy error. You will also learn that in science, there is no transfer of evil suggestions from one mortal to another, for there is but one mind, and this ever-present, omnipotent mind is reflected by man and governs the entire universe. You will learn that in Christian Science, the first duty is to obey God, to have one mind, and to love another as yourself. We all must learn that life is God. Ask yourself, am I living the life that approaches the supreme good? Am I demonstrating the healing power of truth and love? If so, then the way will grow brighter unto the perfect day. Your fruits will prove what the understanding of God brings to man. Hold perpetually this thought, that it is the spiritual idea, the Holy Ghost and Christ, which enables you to demonstrate with scientific certainty the rule of healing based upon its divine principle, love, underlying, overlying, and encompassing all true being. Let's pray together silently for a few moments, and then pray aloud together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Let's sing hymn number 41, 4-1. Come, labor on. Who dares stand idle on the harvest plain, while all around him waves the golden grain, and to each servant does the Master say, go, work today. Number 41. This church is a branch of the Mother Church, the First Church of Christ Scientist in Boston, Massachusetts. We hold Sunday services at 11 a.m. and Wednesday testimony meetings at 7:30 p.m. We also have services in Spanish, Sundays at 12 noon and Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. All services are held in person and online, and all are welcome. Third Church offers Sunday school classes in person and online for children and teens. These free one-hour classes are available each Sunday. At Sunday school, students learn how much God loves them and cares for them. They also learn about the Bible characters and lessons and the healing power of prayer. For more information on times and classes, please send us an email, thirdchurch@thirdchurchnyc.com. Replays are available on our website, thirdchurchnyc.com, in English and Spanish of our Good Friday talk titled, What is Resurrection Thinking? By Brian Webster. Other inspirational talks are also available on our website in both languages. This meeting is now open for all to share experiences of healing and spiritual insights that prove God's ever-presence and power in their lives. If you're listening by telephone and would like to speak, press *6 and wait until your line is unmuted. Please speak directly into the microphone of your phone. Your message will be easier to hear if you do not use the speaker function. If you're watching via Zoom, you can choose the raise your hand icon or unmute yourself and speak.
Just give me a sign that you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. I was at a fork in the road a couple of months ago, and I was trying to figure out a very important answer. And I felt your whole readings were all about what I went through. It was just absolute unceasing prayer. I would read the lesson each day very slowly and write out exactly what each part of the lesson meant to me. And so I made the lesson so much more real to me, so much more authentic to me, applying it to myself. Constant prayer. And I would often read articles. I would read special pamphlets. I just had several months of total devotion to knowing that I was at one with the one mind, and one mind always knew where to go, what to do with the situation that I was trying to figure out. And what I think was happening was the more I did not want to have human will making the decision. I didn't want to have anything to do humanly with the decision. I wanted to hear God speaking to me so that it was not a human will. It was totally the divine will operating in my life. And it just kept going on and on where I wasn't clear. I just wasn't clear. And I wasn't able to function totally because I needed to know which direction to be going. But I never stopped this devoted prayer constantly. I mean, when you were reading unceasing prayer, I said, oh my goodness, she knows what's going on in my life. Awaken his likeness, have patience, silent prayer and watchfulness. I'm striving to enter in at one with truth and love. I'm fighting a good fight, self-denial and sincerity. Everything you were reading, I felt like I was going through. But I never stopped. And 2 days ago, I walked someone to the elevator, and this person went into the elevator. Oh my God, I saw it. It was like a bolt of lightning went through me, let the whole hall lit up with light. I said, oh my God. And I realized what the truth was. I mean, I was so almost giddy in joy, realizing, having heard God speak to me so clearly. It was really divine will. It had nothing to do with a human will. And for the last 2 days, I've just been so grateful and so happy to know the direction that I'm going, and to have the wisdom from this knowing, this absolute knowing. And wisdom is such a great gift because you do the right thing. You're always moving in the right direction. I had a Sunday school teacher once who used to say, when you get to the fork in the road, go one direction. And if it's the wrong way, just turn around and go the other direction. You know, that was nice, but the directions were so big and so different. Anyway, I'm just overwhelmingly grateful for having the divine will operating in my life. And I was thinking the last 2 days, what's the lesson of this whole thing? The lesson is know the truth and have faith. It's simple, except when you're going through it, it's not so simple. It didn't appear simple, but it was so beautifully clear. I'm so grateful for God's wisdom, for God's divine will, for your wonderful readings. Thank you so much. Very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you for your readings. There were a couple of ideas that came to me in the course of study that were very helpful and learning experiences. One was the phrase, comfort ye my people. We all know that Bible passage. But it came to me that it has a great application to treatment. When we went through instruction in Christian Science, the teacher would talk about treatment, and one of the ways suggested was to list on the left-hand side all the negative things that appear ungodlike or that need to be handled, and then put on the right side the spiritual truths that would reverse or deny those errors and what would affirm the truth, and to sort of work on your thought in that way and raise one's own thinking. And that was a form of treatment. And, I could see there's logic to it. But the words comfort ye my people. What I saw was in doing that, it wasn't just sort of abstract. That if we were working for ourselves, then comfort ourselves. If we were working for somebody else, then comfort another person, that person for whom we were working. And it was the love, it taught you what needed to be treated. What did that person need to be encouraged, to be strengthened, to feel love? And what it sort of was a focus. It put it together and made the incentive to work. It wasn't just a mathematical thing one was doing. It was loving. It was not accepting the situation that your senses would present, but it was a loving thing to do. And it gave direction and it oriented all those ideas and gave focus. And it was helpful to me. I could see that, and I appreciated it. And another idea that came more clear was the parable about binding the strong man. This was always a problematic parable for me, because why was Jesus teaching somebody how to spoil somebody's house? You know, it didn't seem very godlike to me. But Mrs. Eddy has an interpretation of that scripture that really illumined it. And we know, we're all familiar that she saw that the strong man was mortal mind, the mortal sense of being, and the mortal in all life that all the conclusions that one might reach about what life is and who God life is by looking merely at what the senses, the eyes and the nose might tell you about what reality is, that and beliefs that are powers opposed to God. All that's mortal mind. And so and again, going back to treatment, mortal mind or binding the strong man is to get a hold of those beliefs, to reverse them, to use spiritual truth, the science of Christ, if you will, the Christian science, to find the truth that reverses the error and to apply that. And what is the goods that are being spoiled? She defines them as sin, disease, and death. Bind the mortal mind, and you can then take away, get rid of this mortal mind's possessions, sin, disease, and death, which is a very helpful explanation of that parable. And yes, we're not nice to mortal mind. And so those two ideas were very helpful. And there were other things that in one case says, we don't reason from what the senses tell us to understand God. We focus on God, and if God is love and is all loving, then we define reality from that point. We start with God, and then we come down, with and contest. The logic doesn't go from the bottom up; it comes from the top down, and then you get the better idea. I'm just grateful for the lesson committee and for the various functioning of the church that focuses on these ideas and raises thinking and it makes it practical.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your readings. I only briefly wanted to express my gratitude. I'm visiting your beautiful city and having the time of my life, but also walking about 3 times what I normally do. And each morning I've had a brief concern. And this morning I opened up the hymnal that I brought with me to 139. And I've always loved it. I walk with love along the way. Right? And I was reading, and each of the sentences was so beautiful. And I took a picture of it so that I could glance at it throughout the day. And I did today and looked at it. And I thought, the joy that none can take away is mine. I walk with love today. And it did bring me a lot of peace. And I'm very grateful to have found that sense of support and love and protection, and to know that I'm always being guided and guarded and governed always by God. And so I'm just very grateful to be here. And thank you again for your readings.
Thank you. I have to say that hymn has always meant a lot to me. When I was an adolescent, I was enrolled in a music school and had to, the time that this teacher had was necessitated my leaving school early. And I got permission to do that from the faculty and the administration. And so I would walk down the hill from where the school was situated to the subway. It was maybe 3/4 of a mile. And I would go down the hill and I would sing this hymn, I walk with love along the way. And oh, it is a holy day. No more I suffer cruel fear. I feel God's presence with me here. The joy that none can take away is mine. I walk with love today. And the reason that I clung to that all the time was that the teacher that I was assigned was known to be pretty much a terror. And when one had to go to the class, to the lesson, I really had to be armed spiritually because it was intimidating at first. And so every week I would go down and of course I would practice during the week, but in order to steel myself for the lesson, I would sing this hymn as I walked down the hill every Friday. And eventually the situation yielded and we became good friends and exchanged gifts at holidays and so on and so forth. And it was melted away, all the fear and all the intimidation. And I was very grateful for the usage of that hymn, for the singing, which singing helps you escape from the arguments that assail you. It just lifts your thought and concentrates you on something else, something higher, something holier, something spiritual, something comforting and strengthening. And I've always found the hymns to be that way. And since a child, I've learned a lot of hymns and have needed to use them many, many times and have always found them to be a source of strength and comfort and healing.
We have time for one brief one. I'll try to be brief. Talking about hymns made me think back on my youth. And I think, probably a senior in high school. And I used to play the hymns for Sunday school. So I was very familiar with a lot of hymns, but didn't realize that I was. And my family was vacationing and we had a boat and there was a lot of water activities. And at the end of the day, we were bringing the boat in and my father slipped and his foot was split in two almost by this thing on the boat, a davit or something like that. It was a terrible wound. And everybody was scurrying around trying to get the boat settled and get my dad up to the house. And I knew I needed to leave that scene. It was because it was too difficult. So I went up to the house and I stood I can just see myself. I stood in the living room of this little house we rented. And I was trying to pray. And the first words of "O gentle presence" came to me. And again, like, as you said, because of the music, I began to just follow the music. And the music led me to the words, which I didn't know I knew. And I became utterly fascinated with how every phrase, when I waited for the next one thinking, well, I don't know it, I have no idea, I would sing the tune and then the words came. And I must have spent 15 minutes doing this, went through the entire hymn. And by then, everyone had come back up. We had dinner. My dad didn't say anything. He was at dinner. He always was known to be very stoic, so that didn't surprise anyone, but still, it was quite a wound. And years later, nothing was ever done with this. He was fine over a couple of days. And I didn't tell anyone what I'd been doing. But years later, my mother, who's a Christian Scientist, I was telling her about how I did that at that time, just about how interesting it was that I remembered that hymn. And she said, you know, all these years, I wondered what had happened that night. She said, I was too upset and involved to try to pray. I couldn't pray. And I knew I needed to, and I couldn't. But she said, you know, your father went back to town to have this wound checked out. They said there's nothing to do. The wound is healing perfectly. And my mother said the strangest part of it all was that he said he never felt any pain from that. And she said, I knew somebody had to be working. I didn't know it was you. So, yeah, hymns. Very healing. Thank you for your readings.
Thank you. And thank you all for your testimonies and prayers and presence and support. Let's conclude with hymn number 82. I'll read the whole poem. God is working his purpose out as year succeeds to year. God is working his purpose out, and the time is drawing near. Nearer and nearer draws the time that shall surely be when the earth shall be filled with the glory of God as the waters cover the sea. What can we do to work God's work, to prosper and increase the brotherhood of all mankind, the reign of the Prince of Peace? What can we do to hasten the time that shall surely be when the earth shall be filled with the glory of God as the waters cover the sea? March we forth in the strength of God with the banner of Christ unfurled, that the light of the glorious gospel of truth may shine throughout the world. Fight we the fight with sorrow and sin to set their captives free, that the earth may be filled with the glory of God as the waters cover the sea. Number 82.
Thank you.